tell you Queen, Reina, Calle Reina. It's a really popular street. The most important feature is that they allow them to the people, people who were living here or working, to build the columns over the sidewalk. So doing that way, people will have an indoor sidewalk. It means to protect from the sun or the rain. Nasty, man. With this heat and carpets and people smoking, that's a nasty combination, right? Because humidity go inside, people smoking. You have to remove the carpets every year in Cuba. That's the only way, because humidity will go inside the carpet and then the smell will be like a mold. So that's the reason I say stay in the lobby, have a drink, and then go back. People hanging out their clothes in the balcony, guys. We don't have dryers. With this weather, only 25 minutes will be completely dry. Any clothes, all right? Blankets, towels. The far building to the right, the cake, the little cake. LA, and even you have in some one island name right there on the borders with Canada. It's right there. Look at the guy with the cross on the hand next to the wall. That's Junipero Serra. The Franciscans came to Havana first, and they moved from here to Mexico, from Mexico all over the west coast of Mexico and US. This is all Havana, means population about 180,000 only in this municipality. The capital has a population of about 2.1 million inhabitants. This country has a population of 11.2. As a tip in information, I can tell you that we'll bring Chinese or Indians for somewhere else because the population is shrinking. The birth rate is only 1.25. The young guys are leaving the island, so in less than 5 years, will be less than 11 million. So it will not be young guys to work on construction. So at what point, as I say, we will bring Chinese or Indians, somebody else, to build the hotels for the U.S. market, because that eventually will happen. At one point, the barrier will be removed, and the U.S. will come by millions, as used to be back in 1959. This is Havana Harbor. On the other side, the famous Christ on the top of the hill. Right there, you'll see it in a minute. I said the famous Christ because it's the one holding a cigar and a mojito glass. Take a look. They have a mojito glass and cigar in hands. Welcome everybody to have fun in Havana. It's right there on the hill. Can you see it from here? Yeah, right there. The reality is true is that he's welcoming everybody with like a blessing sign. That's the sign he's doing to the people who were arriving by boat, like as you did it this morning. A lot of cars, and that's when realism started to work in Cuba. Most of those cars has brand new engines inside, diesel engines. Why? Because diesel is way cheaper than gasoline. Gasoline in Cuba is about $5 a gallon. Diesel is only about 2 point something. So they install inside brand new diesel engines. So if you see a Dodge 48, those with the suicide doors with speed of 100 miles, it's because it has a Mercedes-Benz inside the trunk. If you realize they will have a windows closed, means they have AC inside Dodge 48. And if you go deeper inside the Dodge, you will see an LCD movie theater on the rear seat with a couple kids with glasses watching an LCD movie theater, which is wild for Dodge 48. San Francisco de Assisi Square on the right. Wherever you see those palaces, guys, that was the corner, that was a house. Wherever you see those palaces over here, the next one as well, that's 90% money from US. How that happened? There was a famous triangle of commerce between Africa, Cuba, and the east coast of US. So they were bringing Spaniards, they were bringing slaves to Cuba. The slaves were traded by molasses, and the molasses were sold on the east coast of US. Why? Because the consumption average of alcohol was 1.5 liters per person per day. So they make a lot of money, Spaniards, selling alcohol, molasses, to US. And that was the reason that they had a lot of money to build those palaces that could be in any square in Europe. Any question, guys? No questions so far? Please let me know. All right, doesn't have to be about the topic we're talking. Any unrelated question will be welcome as well.
What's the gold?
That's the Russian Orthodox Church.
What kind?
Russian.
Oh, Russian Orthodox.
Russian Orthodox Church. There was it's a competition between the Greek and the Russian Orthodox Church. So the Greek opened a small church. The Russians say, "Oh, we have to open the Russian as well." So they open. Nobody goes there, but the but the Russian diplomats are the only one who go there because Cubans they don't believe in. They don't belong to the Russian Orthodox Church.
Yeah.
Catholicism is the one we have here, but now Russian Orthodox.
You were right. Catholicism.
If you have time, I don't know if you have time, but if you want to write those cards, the price, that's a common question. The price is only $25-30, right? Don't pay the number to the chip. The price is something between $25-30 for 1 hour ride. So just wave hand, they will stop for you, and they will take you wherever you want to go. All right, 1 hour driving around Havana will be something $25-30. On the left, the kind of places that the government adapt for tourism. On the left, that's a flea market, guys. It was a former warehouse for the sugarcane harvest. Today is a flea market. 3,000 kiosks inside, indoor, flat, bathrooms, and you can spend there as much as you want to buy souvenirs. That's the kind of business that they will do here. They will use the premises for those old warehouses for tourism. The same would be with warehouses and buildings on the other side of the harbor. Why? Because you don't want to see a refinery when you come to a colonial city, as the one you saw on the other side. At the same time, at the entrance of the harbor is a tunnel of Havana. The tunnel is only 1 meter on the ground. For the post-Panamanian ships, it's not enough there. So they have to move all the industry to the Mariel Harbor, 25 miles of Havana, west of Havana. Everybody's familiar with the Mariel Leaf boat, guys? Mariel Leaf boat, 1980, where the Cubans arrived by 1,000 to US. I'll tell you later about that. Look at the left, guys. That's the Havana wall, the city wall. Havana was surrounded by a wall for more than 200 years. Why so? Why do we have so many fortresses, so many cannons? Because Havana, for more than 300 years, was the Wall Street of the whole world. It means all the gold from South America was coming to Havana. Why? In front of Havana is running what Hemingway called the Big Blue River, the Gulf Stream. So the best way to sell from this continent to Europe was coming from Havana. So the Spanish fleet was coming twice per year, gathering every single gold piece or silver with a value of $4 trillion twice per year. The pirates realized that and they attacked Havana several times to steal the gold and the silvers and all the wealth that the Spaniards were bringing twice per year. That's the reason we have so many fortresses around Havana, in the capital and also all over the country. Look at those count houses, guys. That was a single family house. On the right, we have Central Havana Municipality. Old Havana Municipality. On the left, we have Old Havana Municipality. Look at that more influence building, guys, on the right. Is a Catholic convent transformed into a quarter house. Look at how many people live inside. Every single window is a different house. And the most interesting is that every single apartment, those 4x4, they own it. 95% of the Cubans, they own their houses. They have the deeds of the houses. In that case, that quarter house, they share the shower, toilet, and bathtub. They have only 4x4 small apartment, right? The kitchen is in the corner. The bunk beds on the other corner, the bedroom in the opposite diagonal, so all is in that 4x4. How many people live inside? Maybe 3 or 4 guys. It's mess, that kind of quarter houses.
Is it 4 feet or 4 meters?
4 meters square.
Oh, okay.
4 feet, no, 4 feet, no way.
I was gonna say, what?
No, 4 meters. So Sorry. Most of the U.S. travelers think that daiquiri was a Cuban cocktail. It was not. Daiquiri was a U.S. cocktail. I mean, it was brought by the U.S. Army when they came to Havana back in 1898, when they landed by Daiquiri Beach during the Cuban, American, and Spanish War. The first guy who brought the first ice maker was a U.S. engineer from the U.S. Navy. So what the hell do you do this summer with an ice maker, lime, and rum? You made daiquiris. And that's what they did back in 1898. On the right, that's a famous bar that made really popular daiquiris. And that's one of those famous handouts of Hemingway himself, where he used to drink a couple liters of daiquiris every day. Frozen daiquiris, right here. El Floridita. Look at the sign of Hemingway at the top. One of the newest hotel open in Havana, the Kempinski Hotel on the left. The name of the block is a really famous block in Havana. It's the Gomez Mena block. Gomez Mena is a family living in Miami today, so they named the hotel just the block. They don't want to use the last name of the family since they are still alive in Miami. Next tall building to the right, that's a famous Bacardi building. Right here, guys. Look at the B on the windows that stands for Vacay. According to the Met curators, it's the most fancy Art Deco building built in the whole country in 1929. Right before the crash, $35 million they spent that building. On the left, the Fine Art Museum, only the Cuban art collection. Across the street, there's a Fine Art Museum, the Cuban art collection, and across the street there's a Revolution Museum. This is a Revolution Memorial. The truck was used by a bunch of students in 1957 to try to kill Batista, dictator. The boat inside the glass was the one used by Fidel himself when he came from Mexico with 25 guys to start the guerrilla war back in 1956. It's a real size, I mean real, it's not a replica, it's a real boat. When I say guerrilla war, I'm talking between 1956 till 1959. That was a guerrilla war period of time. Next building on the left, that was a former presidential palace between 1917 and 1959. Fidel never used this building. It was too bloody for him. So he never used the presidential palace, and that was the one transformed into Revolution Museum. Ahora frente al museo hay como un parqueo, ahora si no para en medio. It's a nice building built by Tiffany Company from New York. This building, 1917. On the right, we have anybody from New York, guys? Nobody from New York? All right. So that's a replica, the replica of the Jose Marti sculpture you will see in Central Park, New York. There was a donation from the mayor of New York only 6 months ago. That sculpture is over there. On the left, that's part of the wall. Look at quinceañeras, guys. That's a quinceañeras party or a wedding, I don't know, in front of us. Look at that. Quinceañeras is very common in Cuba. People may spend a lot of money, pictures, cars, party. I don't know if that's a wedding or a quinceañeras. Seems like a wedding by the flowers. It's like a wedding. Yeah. On the left, that's a tank. Look at the picture, because in the picture you'll see Fidel himself. That was a tank used by Fidel himself during Bay of Pig invasion. Remember Bay of Pig invasion 1961? That was a tank used to sink one of those ships named by the very same George Bush when he was a CIA officer back in 1961. The name of the boat that he sank with that cannon was Barbara. because Bush named it with the names of the family. So one was Barbara, Houston, and so on. So Fidel himself should die, cannon and sank Barbara boat. That's the reason that they were so close friends the last 20 years, because they have a long relation since 1961. This is the only casualty we have in this war, guys, between US and Cuba. Look at the engine. It's a U-2 pilot who died in 1961 during the missile crisis. The name of the guy was Rudolf Anderson. He was in Cuba, the remains were in Cuba till 1998. Because as you know, the policy was never acknowledged, was a U-2 pilot. So the daughter came in 1998 to take the remains of her father. That's the only casualty we have in this war between Cuba and US. Nobody else. That guy. That was, that plane trying to take pictures of those rockets, of those missiles that they were based in Cuba by the Soviet Army back in 1961.
What was the flame back there?
The flame is a memorial in honor to the people who died against Batista. There were more than 10,000 guys who died against Batista.
Okay.
Batista ran the country through a coup d'etat between 1952 and 1958. In those 8 years, 30,000 people died. The famous Slope Yo bar, guys. The first one, 1917. Slope Yo bars on the right. Slope Yo right here. Plaza Hotel on the left. Back in 1945 was a really fancy hotel. Today is okay. This is Central Park.
Yeah.
Central Park on the left and Central Park Hotel on the right.
What are they building?
That's the Capitol building. It's on the restoration. We'll see nearby and we'll drive right there.
Going down out here.
That's the Opera House over there, guys. In the corner, the Opera House, the England Hotel. Used to be more trees on the park. The Irma hurricane last September removed the big guys. So right now we have only small trees. Irma had a big impact in Havana, mainly on trees. The England Hotel on the right is the oldest hotel working in Havana. It's a hotel, 1887. Stay in the lobby, don't go inside, just for drink music, but don't go inside the hotel by any reason. The Opera House, next building, is the main venue of the classic ballet company, Alicia Alonso, the famous company. And the next building to the right is the Capitol building. It's a replica of the US Capitol. It's not as big or as beautiful as the US Capitol, but it's taller than the US Capitol. They did intentionally. A couple of inches. The dome is a little taller than the US Capitol. The Cuban Congress has a challenge nowadays, next week or 2 weeks, because that building will be used again as the seat of the Cuban Congress. But what happened is that the Cuban Congress has only one chamber of about 425 people. So they have to split physically everybody, and half of the Congress to the House and the other half to the Senate, room because they don't have room for everybody in one place. At least they will take the boat by Skype or by phone, something like that. Capitol building coming to the right.
Why should you not go in the hotel at all?
Because it's an awful hotel.
Oh,
It's a hotel from 1887.
so they haven't like remodeled the inside or anything. It's just trash. Okay.
It's a little nasty, man. With that, this heat and carpets and people smoking, that's a nasty combination, right? Because you immediately go inside, people smoking. You have to remove the carpets every year in Cuba. That's the only way. Because the humidity will go inside the carpet and then the smell will be like a mold. So that's the reason I say stay in the lobby, have a drink, and then go back. People hanging out their clothes in the balcony, guys. We don't have dryers. With this weather, only 25 minutes will be completely dry. Any clothes, all right? Blankets, towels. The far building to the right, the cake, the little cake shake building over there. That was the first AT&T building built out of US, 1912, to be an AT&T headquarters, AT&T telephone company. That's a typical case of where the Cuban government will solve the situation with those US companies who lost money in 1959. Cuba government owes to the AT&T company about $500 million. Well, guess what? The AT&T company doesn't want the money. They want to invest on the island. They don't want the money back. They want to control the communication market on the island. The Cuban government is more than happy with that idea because they don't have the money to pay back to them, right? Left, the green building over there, that's the famous Saratoga Hotel. Rihanna, Madonna, celebrities use that hotel. Jay-Z and B. Jones also. It's a really fancy hotel, about $2,000 per night. Yeah. Take a look to the right, guys, quickly, because that's the only time you will see an outdoor sculpture of Abraham Lincoln, right here. Abraham Lincoln right there. It was opened officially by U.S. President Kevin Coolidge back in 1929. There was a Pan-American Summit. Coolidge was invited, and he was the one who officially opened the monument, unveiled the boost. The name of this area is a kind of Lincoln Park. You can take taxis, buses all over from, here to south, west, or east of Havana. Fraternity Square. Espérame que voy para allá. No te he visto, espérame que voy en camino. Bueno, parqueada. This is Carlos III, a very important avenue in Central Havana municipality.
Hospital.
Those classic cars, those American cars you go back and forth, guys, those are taxi lines. So they go back and forth between one point and another point. It's basically the same concept of Uber pool, but without application. You share the ride. So it's about $1, $2 from downtown to the suburb area. They don't move to that line. So you raise your hand and you share the ride all the whole country. That's the reason those guys make a decent amount of money every day. So they make a couple $100 every day. For this very same corner right here, that was a governor house, Spanish governor house. Look at the size. It's a massive area, farm. It was a governor house till 1898. Today belongs to Havana University. It's a botanical garden of Havana University today. Next one is a dental school. Dentist school. We are right now on the limits of the University of Havana campus. We'll be driving around in about 10-20 minutes. Questions? We're fine, guys. Please, all right? Anytime.
So is every car almost diesel that you see?
Almost, I would say 80%
Okay.
of the classic cars, American cars, are diesel.
Okay.
It's way better, man.
I was always trying to figure. I was wondering what they did to fix the engines. So
Yeah, they
just
have
put new
original
and
engines, but
everything?
there are only a few. Only
Okay.
10% of those cars have the original engines.
Okay.
They have those engines in their houses,
Okay.
the old ones, the original ones, but they use on a regular basis the diesel.
Okay.
Way better. I mean, they have more mileage,
You have to.
cheaper the diesel, so better.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to see the sound. I don't like the sound, the diesel, and but it's nice to have a Chevy 56 with AC, and then you can run 120 miles, 140 miles because they have a Mercedes-Benz brand new inside the truck. It's a little weird, but that's how it works in Cuba.
Oye, ¿dónde venden los mejores puros? ¿Cuáles son?
Where they sell cigars. We'll stop, guys. Don't worry. I can read your eyes. Without silence because I didn't speak about cigar, rum, and coffee. Don't worry. We'll stop there. We'll try. I'm trying to make time. We have about 65 buses all over Havana. 65 buses like you. So I'm trying to move ahead everybody to find one empty spot for us. Likely a cigar store factory. That's where we're going. That's what we want to be. Yes, please. The same. They have stores linked to the cigar store factories. Why are we going there? Because the cigar factory is the one who supply the store. Means fresh. In a country like Cuba with so high level of humidity, preserve a cigar is really a challenge. You better buy it right there fresh and then you keep it fresh. But keep it fresh in the Cuban stores is difficult. This is Revolution Square, guys. This is the Homeland Security. We'll give you free time to take pictures here, to walk around.
Look at that.
This is a famous Revolution Square. The presidential palace is behind the tower. The tower is Jose Marti Memorial. Jose Marti is our national hero. Behind that tower are the where the Supreme Court buildings today is the Revolution Palace, means the presidential palace. Left, Communication Ministry.
Now, why do they call it Revolution Square? Is this where what happened?
Why they call it Revolution Square? That's a good point. Because the square was built before the revolution, right? That's a good point. Batista was the one who built the square back in 1952. Yeah, seems like a Soviet building, but no, they're not Soviet buildings. What happens is that those buildings were built influenced by the Art Deco Benito Mussolini fair in Italy. Dictators influence architecture. That's what happened.